The objectives for this video are to show how to calculate the mean for a data set, how to correctly use the notation for the population mean and the sample mean, and how to correctly use the rounding rule for the mean.
The mean, also known as the arithmetic average, is found by adding all of the data values in a data set and dividing by the total number of values. If the data set for which we will calculate a mean was gathered using all of the subjects in a population, then the result should be identified as a population mean. Recall that measures calculated from populations are called parameters. The calculation of a mean is carried out by adding all of the data values in a data set and then dividing by the total number of values. The Greek sigma symbol in the numerator of this formula tells us to sum all of the values. We use the letter x to represent the values of the variable in the data set. Recall that the uppercase N represents the size of the population. If the data set for which we will calculate a mean represents a subset of the population, then the result should be identified as a sample mean. Recall that measures calculated from samples are called statistics. The only changes in the formula for calculating the sample mean are the use of the symbol x bar to represent a sample mean and the lowercase n to represent the sample size. The execution of the two formulas is identical. There are 100 members of the United States Senate. The table below shows the ages of all members of the United States Senate as of June 2016. Since this data set represents all of the subjects in this population, we will calculate a population mean and use the appropriate Greek symbol mu when we report it.
The first step will be to add all of the data values. The second step will be to divide this sum by the size of the data set. Since our data set consists of whole numbers, we should round our result to the nearest tenth of a year. So, as of June 2016, the mean age for all U.S. senators was 62.7 years. There are 435 members of the United States House of Representatives. The table below shows a random sample of the ages of 30 members of the United States House of Representatives as of June 2016. Since this data set is a selection of the subjects of the population and excludes the other subjects, the mean that we calculate will be a sample mean. Since our data set represents a sample, we will make sure to use the symbol x bar when we report it. Again, we will first sum all of the data values in the data set, and then divide by the number of data values in the data set, or in this case, the sample size. Since our data values were all whole numbers, the rounding rule for the mean tells us that we should round our result to the nearest tenth of a year. So the mean for this sample of 30 U.S. representatives is x bar equal to 61.9 years. In this video, we learned how to calculate the mean for a data set, assign the correct symbols for the sample mean and population mean, and round the mean to the appropriate decimal place.